Welcome back to UCLA Football TV, hosted by Westwood 739. We got another interview from Coach Chesney. I haven't seen it yet. We're going to watch it together. I'm not going to hold you. You guys already know the routine. Smash that like button on your way in. Let's get it.
Good. How are you all?
How did it go tonight?
I thought it went great. We had 180 coaches, 30 head coaches, 3 different states represented. So really important for us to be able to, start some of these relationships. I said it in the meeting room in there. The people said, "You're coming from the East Coast. How do you build relationships? We got to start them." And I thought we did a good job on the road throughout the spring. And now, having all these guys here is going to be really important. We're going to go up and hang out and do a little more work with them as well, which will be great.
Okay, so it looks like we got some recruits on campus as well as some head coaches. That's a lot. That's a lot of people to host at one time. This is a big event. These type of events are important because this is how we're going to get those 4 stars. We have not had an opportunity to get any 5 stars at the moment, but we still got a lot of time before the season start. And honestly, we're already recruiting a lot better than we did the last 4 or 5 years. So just because we don't have a 5-star right now at the moment, it doesn't mean this recruiting class isn't kicking some ass.
And describe where you are with building relationships with the high school coaching community just in general, and how much does this help?
Yeah, this helps a lot with it, for sure. I've been around at almost every school that I could possibly get to in the time allotted. And then I spoke at a clinic, and and just for me, being present as much as I possibly can is important. And then access. We said it from day one that they'll have access to practices, they'll have access to meetings, they'll have access to just getting a feel for how we do things, because that's going to be important for them to understand our development process, for them to trust us and understand what type of program their player will be coming into.
The structure of today's practice, a little bit lighter than what we've seen before. How much?
Yeah, it's not a practice. Today wasn't a practice.
So we can't gloss past that. Bob Chesney just said that he's been at pretty much every high school he can possibly make it to. His presence is the deciding factor for a lot of these recruits. You can meet with the assistants, you can meet with the position coaches, but when you get an opportunity to have the head coach in front of you, that impact is huge. Trust me, not every coach is visiting every single high school, or let me say as many as he can. And I'm definitely sure he's not done. I mean, he's bringing them to practice. We see them on the sidelines. They're doing a lot, and it's commendable. And we need to make sure we give them credit for that.
Walkthrough?
Yeah, today, so the way this thing was set up was that these coaches were going to come in. We did a big programmatic overview, big offense and defensive overview, and then they went off to their position meeting rooms, and then they went through all the different drills that coaches were doing to help develop their players. And then we came on the field and did those exact drills that they saw, with a little bit of a practice formatted with 7-on-7 and some of the compete things at the end. So just something for them to just better understand and feel in person instead of watching on a videotape.
Your double-digit practices here, how do you assess what the offense is?
I think that I was saying it to Dean yesterday. There's just a lot that we're putting in. It's their first time running it at full speed. It's not like they've heard it. It's the first time they hear it.
That energy that he's given is because the defense is ahead of the offense at the moment. But let's be honest with ourselves. When you're bringing in a new offense, the one that they ran at JMU, it's complicated. We got to give the offensive guys time to catch up.
And then run it, and that's how it's gone because of this situational awareness that has to happen in their goal line 2 minutes after we get the base stuff in. So I hope that, when we get out here tomorrow, it'll look a whole lot different than it did the Saturday before. That wasn't bad. It just got to be better. And, again, I said it earlier, there's got to be a lot of growth from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2. It's got to happen that way. So I'm kind of excited about tomorrow to see where we're at, but there's a lot of work to be done still, and that's what you would expect.
We saw Sam Yoon back the other day. Is he ahead of the schedule on his return?
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a really good job right now, and he feels really good. I talked to him after. Just the got to be careful how long he's out there, because by the end starts to fatigue a little bit, and you don't want to have a re-injury occur. So we kept him somewhat limited, but he said, like, right at the point where we were pulling him, he felt like that was probably the exactly where he was going to start to fade away a little bit. So I thought our guys did a really good job of managing that properly, and then next time a little more, and just see where we could end up by the end of this.
Sam Yoon didn't have the best season last year. Last year was just a terrible year, period, though. So we can't judge him based off last year. We got to look at his entire body of work. Is he going to be the starter this year? I'm not sure. Is he going to be a part of the rotation? Absolutely.
What was his issue?
He had, I think, a meniscus that he had to get cut. So.
And speaking of centers, we saw some snap issues yesterday. What did you see there? And Fixable, I think is all three units basically.
Yeah. Well, the one.
Can you see Bob Chesney's energy? You could tell that he's out there and he's locked in, because this is not day one energy. This is that we've been at practice. I see what I have. This is where we need to improve. And this is what I need to do to get us there. This is that type of energy. As a fan, I see it right off the top. I mean, he's still Coach Chesney, but he just seems like he's locked in right now.
Probably you saw it a different way than what it was. We just had someone coming across the formation that was a little bit too tight to the snap. So one hit somebody. It wasn't a bad snap, but there were two bad snaps in there. And I think, again, when you get down by the goal line, what happens is, we're on the 1 inch line. So at that point, that defense alignment is digging in low. You're digging in low, and you have a tendency to lift your backside up a little bit and send it a little bit higher as you're trying to get under them. And I think that's just something we got to work through and work on, and we'll be good.
I asked Landon this about a week ago or whatever it was, and you guys obviously in a almost a twist of fate, right? You played Oregon in the college football playoff. What did that do to inform you what life in the Big Ten is like, especially because you got that true road environment experience?
Yeah, I think that was really good. To have an idea of what one of the top teams in this league, not only their road environment, but the style of play, the size and speed of their guys, that was, very impactful and important for us to be able to understand what we needed to do here.
We talk about that all the time. Bob Chesney getting an opportunity to take JMU to Oregon and play in Oregon, that is going to have a big impact this coming year, because not only did the players that played in that game get that experience, he also got a lot of experience as well. And I definitely believe that it made him a lot more hungrier as well.
Yeah, it was a whole lot better than if we'd never played them, right? And didn't get a chance to play that caliber of an opponent. I think it put things in perspective a little bit.
I saw a quick moment between your dad and Cole Martin earlier at the beginning of practice. They were kind of chopping it up and then embraced. What is the impact that he's had over these last two practices been on your program?
Yeah, I just think, he's a guy that they all, we talk and preach family a lot, and every program does. This is literally my actual family that's here. And that's a lot of how I grew up, in this profession, where my dad and my grandfather, my uncles, we're all part of our coaching staff. So I want them to understand and feel that and know how important that is, not only to the football field, but to obviously life in general. But, it's neat to watch him just, be a guy who's seen a lot of football in his day and a lot of different people, and to come out here and be accepted and just continue to try to add value and build relationships is ultimately what it's all about.
And what's that feeling like for you? I mean, being able to have your father out here, I mean, not a lot of people have the opportunity. Myself,
yeah.
I lost my dad at a young age, so being able to share moments like that, I mean, what is it like for yourself?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I think you're exactly right, and it's funny. A lot of coaches are sons of coaches. Not a lot of people get into this profession, obviously for money or anything else. It's just my first 2 years were $5,000 a year, and then had to really just work my way through it all. And there was a lot of struggle in there, and it's not. You got to be really passionate about it, because otherwise it's not gonna, you're not gonna last very long. And I think that for me, I will go on these road trips and talk to these other coaches, and it's shocking how many are also sons of coaches, and then they always will talk and mention about, it's pretty cool to see your dad out there. And it is. I think it's something that, we'll cherish the moments we got together, and as long as he could be out here running around and doing it, I think he's always welcome.
That's that genuineness that we like about Bob Chesney. He got his father out there, and I'm sure his father is enjoying being out there on the field. But look at the coach. The coach is enjoying being able to put himself in a position to where his father can be proud of him. That's huge. And they always say that most coaches are like father figures to these athletes. What better way to prove that than to have your father out there being a part of practices and showing up and being there for his son? That's how you lead by example. This is a good situation for the players at UCLA right now at the moment.
And on the 5-5 thing that's been, talked about right now.
I just think it's a little complicated if you do it now. Do you need a little more lead time? How do you go about it? You can't hold at 105 anymore or even think about that. I guess there's too many variables in there for me to fully understand. I think it would clean up a lot of things where you're not worried about that kid, or that kid's not petitioning for the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th year in some cases. I think it would clean things up quite a bit, but at the same point,
it's crazy to know that some kids have been in college playing sports for 6 or 7 and 8 years, like he just said. I mean, that COVID stuff was a hot mess. And for it to still be lingering, I'm curious. Does anybody know when it's going to be over? Jump in the comments. I'm not really exactly sure how it all works, but just to know that you got a 6th, 7th year senior, sometimes an 8th year senior, that right there is crazy.
It'll be a little messy at the very beginning.
It's just the implementation point, right? Because people's rosters are set, money's been allocated, things like that. Yeah,
it gets complicated. And the guys that went into the draft and didn't make it, can they reclassify and come back down here? That's all part of the questions that need to be answered.
Do you have an update on Scooter or still the same?
No, nothing on Scooter. We're just trying to work through it still.
Coach, we talked with Scott Taylor the other day about, the competition and intensity in practice, especially during those goal line drills. Yeah. How important is it to, have that competition, that intensity, but also at the same time harnessing the emotion, maybe not letting things boil over? Yeah,
it's important. I think you have to play on an edge and with an edge, and if you don't, you're not going to be very long for it.
I agree 100%. You need those kind of dust-ups. The Bruins need to come out there with an attitude, and they need to go out there like they feel like and they know they belong playing inside this Big Ten conference.
So I think that's really one of the hallmarks of what this program is going to be, is that we have to play that style of football, and we have to train that style of football, and we have to do this every single day. And then we got to learn our limits and our boundaries, and then we got to learn our teammates' limits and boundaries, and make sure that we're able to protect each other from those things. That flag goes in the air, on a big penalty. I want to, for a lot of my career, been able to look across the field and know it wasn't on us. And I think that's important for us to, be in a position where we could keep our poise even though we're playing with an edge.
Why is today important with all the high school coaches?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah, but it's very important, is that, again, building the relationships, them getting to know us. Again, this is a whole new staff. When will they find out?
Before I let him finish his statement, I just want to say, we're recruiting. What we're doing right now is recruiting. YouTube, mobile phones, tablets. I don't know how you guys are watching it. It's the numbers are showing that a lot of people is watching this on TV. But at the same time, what Bob Chesney is about to say, we need to take this shit serious. He's talking directly to potential recruits that are thinking about coming to UCLA.
When they watch games on TV, or when would it happen? When we go and visit, one coach goes to visit them in the high school. Here they are with the whole staff out there, getting a chance to watch a practice, get a chance to feel exactly what we're all about, how we do things, the tempo at which we move, the passion, the energy, the joy that we play with, the toughness that we play with. All those things are really important for them to understand what their players will be entering into if they choose UCLA. So I think that's very, very important. And then I think now just take off the whistle and the coaching hats and everybody hang out a little bit together and talk a little more shop if you want, just talk life if you want. That's what we're about to do, and I'm excited for that. Continue to build relationships.
Wayne obviously impacted your team in a number of ways. When it comes to, you've obviously said this running back room is, really strong, really deep. As far as his workload, do you anticipate, a similar workload, or could you maybe keep him a little bit more fresh with a stable running back?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I said it earlier about this position in particular, is that it's hard to make it through a whole season at 100%. It's very, very hard to do, just because you're got to go through D-line.
I think he's being modest. In my opinion, you need depth. Every position on that football field you need at least 3 backups, 3 to 4 backups. And I remember when we initially started the channel, we were talking about depth, not starter type at every position, but we need depth. We need people that can come in and next man up mentality.
Linebackers and pass protect, and your body gets put in some really weird spots and rolled up on, and that's just what happens. So, you know, there will be enough work for everybody, that's for sure. And I think there'll be moments where we're like, man.
And put things in perspective, because this NFL draft just completed. I mean, it just passed. We had running backs getting drafted that only had 500 yards in the season. That's not because they couldn't have ran for 1,000. It's just depth nowadays. Look at the NFL. You don't have one main back anymore. You have 2. So in college, you definitely need at least a running back room with 6 running backs. UCLA is in that position right now.
Knock on wood, it doesn't happen, but there'll be moments where that room has always gotten thin at some point in time, almost in every roster across the United States of America. So everybody will have enough work to do.
And then just as a quick follow-up, what is it about his abilities that makes him such a dynamic player in those areas?
Well, I just think he's, you know, you look at him like he's a stocky kid, and he's, you know, very hard to bring down. His center of gravity and his body balance is phenomenal. And then he just does such a good job out in the open field, making people miss. And then he's got, you know, really good speed, and I just think there's everything to his game. You didn't have to say, hey, it's 3rd down, get him off the field. Hey, we need 1 yard on 4th and 1, take him off the field. Like he's an every down back that can do everything.
And that was different at JMU because they didn't have this type of talent in the running back room. Is Wayne Knight going to be able to hold up against Indiana, Washington, Ohio State? Will he be able to take all of those snaps? I don't think he should. And I'm not saying he can't. What I'm saying is we need to spread that out.
Surprised you in a good way, or maybe a position group this spring? I know those questions can be kind of tough.
Yeah, let's wait till after tomorrow to just really assess. There are some guys that are standing out for sure, but let's just see how it rolls tomorrow. There's a couple different guys that are popping now over the past 2 days that, you know, we needed to, and I thought that are doing a nice job. I just got to get some eyes on it tomorrow one more time. Yeah.
Last question. The one-on-ones here at the end. Was there a PI that you gave it to the offense?
Yeah. There's a couple of those. Yeah. They always have a lot of problems with the referees. It's not an easy profession over here. Thanks, guys.
So, family, my biggest takeaway from that interview, because we've seen a lot at this point, is the excitement behind the recruiting. I mean, he's bringing in so many kids, and the way that they're doing these visits and setting it up is amazing, because when you bring in a group of kids that all come from the same city and they all play football in the same areas, they do communicate with each other. They follow each other on Twitter. They follow each other on social media. They are in tune with what they're doing. If one of them decides to go to UCLA, he picks up his phone. He's like, bro, you coming to UCLA with me, right? The answer should be automatically yes, because this is relationship building. These kids grow together. Bob Chesney is doing this the right way. And I don't want to just give credit to Bob Chesney here. I want to give it to the entire UCLA athletic department from the top to the bottom, because this is different. This Bob Chesney era is something that we're going to be able to point at down the road and say, this is where things started to change. If you want to continue to keep supporting this channel, make sure you watch the next video that just popped up on the screen. UCLA Football TV, hosted by Westwood 739. Forza.